So I imagine these seals haven't been replaced ever. They're probably the ones that came from the factory. So I'm intrigued to see what the depth is, just for verification. Yeah, 4mm, that's good. That's good. Yeah, the grease is definitely a bit old. I have bought one of these. It was on eBay. Hub seating tool, just so you don't have to faff around tapping it all around. They should put it in square. Just need to clean this up and get the bearings out and repack them and put them back in basically, and bolt the new disc on. Yeah, that grease. It's not looking too pretty. Bearings look good. Ooh, that's lovely and smooth. That is really nice. So they are definitely getting reused. Get this silicone off. This was not me, by the way. I didn't replace anything. I'd originally taken the drive member off. That hub is now pretty darn clean. I've tapped it all out, blown it out with brake cleaner. There was a bunch of silicone in there. Looks great, doesn't it? Super. This hub is now fully built up. I could put it on the vehicle, other than the fact it's raining. The heat wave is pretty much ended now. These nuts, I hadn't ordered these originally because I didn't know that I was going to do it this way. Because I thought because of the spacers when I last looked were like £6 each. So the faff of having to measure them and then order all the spacers and then like 3 days later you can finish the job wasn't appealing. But now I think I want to go to spacers because it's a better system. Well, I just want to try it out. But I've seen like 4 out of the 7 spacers are like less than £2. So I put an order in last night after I finished this one for the new nuts because I had been waiting. So I've ordered the new nuts for these and a bunch of spacers, and well, fingers crossed they're the right ones. Those cheapy ones. The other ones are like £8 to £10 each. So I'll buy them if I need to. But I bought 2 of each of the other ones because like it didn't cost that much. But ideally, you need to put this on with a fresh nut, torque it all up, and then you can measure the end float. But anyway, in the meantime, I have cleaned up the second hub, which was a used one actually. I remember the stories now. When the wheel bearings collapsed on my Salisbury axle on my first Defender, God, what was that, 2011? I took one of the hubs with it, and this was a Britpart hub that I bought to put on the vehicle. I then took that axle off, sold the axle, kept the hubs, luckily, and sold all the kind of disc brake parts from the axle. But essentially, the bearings in here are only been used for like a year, and they're pretty good. So I'm going to treat those like they're good ones. It means I don't have to swap the bearings from the other hub. But I don't have a spacer. Well, I do have a spacer actually to go in here, but it's probably going to be wrong. So I can assemble this. It just won't have a spacer in it. Right, question: bearing in and seal first, or brake the disc first? I think I'll put the bearing in first. just because then it stops, less amount of gunk getting on the brake disc. So that is how you would expect the seal to run.